The second day of questioning of Congress MP Rahul Gandhi by the Enforcement Directorate here in Delhi. His questioning is currently going on day 2. These pictures you see here are of Congress workers and leaders who've been holding protests from various parts of the country for the second day in a row in Delhi. Many of them were detained this morning, even before they could even leave the party headquarters to head towards the ED's office. There are prohibitory orders in place outside the Enforcement Directorate's headquarters. Rahul Gandhi, remember, was questioned yesterday for nearly 10 hours in an alleged money laundering case, which is known as the National Herald case. He came back to the ED this morning at about 11:30, stepped out for a break in the afternoon sometime after 3 p.m. and has been back at the ED's offices after 4 p.m. this evening and continues to be questioned there at the ED's offices. Many Congress leaders were detained once again by police for the second day in a row, including their MPs, chief ministers, others. The BJP, of course, hitting back, calling this drama by the Congress, even accusing the Congress of trying to intimidate the ED, which is questioning Rahul Gandhi. My colleague Arvind Gunasekar joining us now from the ED office in Delhi. And Arvind, is this looking like yesterday? You know, yesterday he only got out at 11:30 at night, so another long day.
Yeah, Nidhi, for sure it will be a long day today. Rahul Gandhi joined the investigation for the second consecutive day today, somewhere around 11:30 a.m. and he was questioned for almost 4 hours in the first half of the day, after which he was let out for a lunch break of 1 hour. So he came back somewhere around 4:30. Since 4:30, it's almost 3 hours. So in total, he has been questioned for 17 hours in this particular case of National Herald by the Enforcement Directorate. So what I just want to show to our viewers is that how the security has been beefed up here at the Enforcement Directorate office. Even yesterday we were here at the very same spot, but yesterday we didn't see such scenes of increased security deployment. But here we can just show to our viewers that a few minutes back we did see 2 more buses with Delhi police personnel. They have just arrived. In fact, interestingly, this very road, the APJ Abdul Kalam road, that was open for traffic, that was open for public use, has been closed also few minutes back. The security deployment have been increased here. So we did speak to senior police officials regarding this increased security deployment here. What they are saying is that they have got some input about the spontaneous protest by the Congress workers, and that's why they have beefed up the security here at the Enforcement Directorate office. Coming to the investigation part, the Enforcement Directorate is currently grilling Rahul Gandhi in connection with the National Herald case. So almost like I mentioned earlier, this is a 17-hour and continuing questioning of Rahul Gandhi. He has been asked to give all the answers in written. So what we are hearing is that if the agency finds that the questioning is not over yet, then there are very good chances of him being summoned again tomorrow for questioning. That's what we are hearing from our sources. But we all will get to know the future course of action by the Enforcement Directorate only an hour or 2 later, when the investigation for the day 2 is nearing an end.
Right. Arvind, just, for the benefit of our viewers, briefly explain to us very simply, if you can, what the National Herald case is all about. It's very confusing and very convoluted, but what is the crux of the matter?
Nidhi, the crux of the matter is on twofold. One, the merits, second one, legality. First, let's start with the merits. The Associated Journal Limited, a company, was set up in the year 1930 in order to publish the newspaper National Herald, which is a Congress mouthpiece. So during the course of its publishing this particular paper, this Associated Journal Limited, that ran into debt of somewhere around 92 crore rupees. Most of this 92 crore rupees, this particular debt is mostly from the Congress party. So that's where the Congress took a decision in 2008 to stop publishing this particular newspaper. In 2010, the Congress party took a decision because this particular company was set up by Nehru in the era of 1930, and that's why they took a decision in order to ensure this particular company remains debt free. That's why the Congress party, not Congress party, but the Congress leaders, including Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, and also Motilal Vora and Oscar Fernandez, all these 4 people, they set up a new company called Young Indian Limited. This particular Young Indian Limited has majority stakeholders, that is Sonia Gandhi has 38% stake and also Rahul Gandhi has 38% stake. So this particular Young Indian Limited, that took over the debt from the Associated Journal Limited. But what the allegation is that when the Young Indian Limited took over the debt of this 92 crore rupees from the the Associated Journal Limited, according to the allegation that this Young Indian Limited also in turn took over the assets worth hundreds of crores of the Associated Journal Limited from Young Indian Limited. So that's the basic allegation on which a private complaint was lodged before a competent court, saying that none of the agencies or the police is registering an FIR. So a private complaint was registered before the court, saying that the court should direct the police to register an FIR. This happened in 2015. That's where this private complaint, when the court took the cognizance of private complaint and when they granted bail to both Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, that's where the Enforcement Directorate took cognizance of this particular Patiala House Court, taking cognizance of a private complaint and has initiated a money laundering probe. So this is the technical aspect. Now the Congress party is saying that when there is no scheduled offence, when there is no FIR, because Prevention of Money Laundering Act clearly says that ED is a secondary probe agency. Whenever there is an FIR, whenever there is a scheduled offence like Prevention of Corruption Act or like 120B cheating or criminal conspiracy, etc., that's where the Enforcement Directorate can take cognizance of this particular FIR and can initiate a money laundering probe. But in this particular case, according to the Congress party, there is no FIR that has been registered by any of the agencies, and if that's the case, how can Enforcement Directorate, taking cognizance of a private complaint, initiate a money laundering probe? So that's the main grievance of the Congress party. So out of 5,422 odd money laundering cases that have been initiated by the Enforcement Directorate,
this whole issue of an FIR,
taken cognizance of a private
Arvind, the question I was asking is procedurally this issue of having an FIR registered by another agency, it usually has to be the CBI or it has to be a police force in one of the states. That's not the case in this National Herald matter, and therefore what Mr. Chidambaram and others are saying is that that's a clear violation of the process and the law under which the ED functions. Is that the correct reading of it?
Yeah, Nidhi, the PMLA Act clearly says that there has to be a scheduled offence, because PMLA Act has a list of offences. Only if such an offence has taken place, ED can initiate a money laundering probe. The main criminal offence will be probed by the police or CBI, but the consecutive proceeds of crime can be probed by the Enforcement Directorate. Here the Congress party is saying that there is no FIR, there is no scheduled offence. How can Enforcement Directorate initiate a money laundering probe? That's the question. But what the Enforcement Directorate sources are saying is that if that's the case, if the Congress party feels that there is no legal footing for this particular money laundering probe, when Pawan Kumar Bansal, who is the presiding officer of AJL, who is also the treasurer of Congress party, when Mallikarjuna Kharge, who is the presiding officer of Young Indian Limited, when both these officers appeared before the agency, when they submitted themselves for the questioning, when they recorded their statement, why didn't the Congress party raise this particular issue? Because both these leaders have already recorded their statement, they have joined the investigation. That's why the ED is saying that this investigation is going on a right way. That's why two other leaders of the Congress have already joined the investigation. So the Congress party cannot raise this issue only when Rahul Gandhi has been summoned by the agency.